calling to order the Keizer Charter Review Committee. It is 6 o'clock and we are ready to move forward. So first things, do we have everybody here? I think we have everyone online. Is Rick missing?
Yes, Rick is missing. He said he was going to try to make it if he could get Zoom to work, but apparently he couldn't get it to work.
Okay.
He's the only one that's missing, though.
Okay. Thank you, Debbie. All right. So then let's go ahead and move on to the next item, which is the approval of the minutes from the last meeting. Do we have a motion for approval?
I move that we approve the minutes from the last meeting.
I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed?
I had a minor comment that I sent to Debbie, so I don't know if that's been captured or not.
Okay.
No, I sent you an email in return asking you if you, sending you some verbiage and asking you if it was okay.
Oh, what haven't been back to my.
Well, if I may say, I think that basically it was just you provided a little more detail. Mine was more general, but if you have some verbiage you want to change, we haven't voted on this yet, so we can adjust the minutes if you want.
I think it was just basically maybe around that one word. The minute said that said that more research needed to be done on the other types of electing, like the top three. And I think I said more outreach, not more research.
Gotcha. That's important. Can we update the minutes there too?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, so Shannon, do I need to say anything different on that? Are we good?
So, Madam Chair?
Yes.
So, just to stay proper, if the mover and the second are okay with that amendment, then it would be, if both of you are okay with it, then it would be the minutes as amended. It's a motion. So okay. I don't remember who moved and seconded, but if you're both okay with that?
Yes, I seconded. This is Ira.
I moved, that's fine.
Okay.
Now I can call for the vote?
Right.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 And all those opposed? Okay. So we're good to go there. And the next is appearance of interested citizens. Debbie, do we have anybody who's signed up?
There's nobody that signed up and no one in the building, and it appears that there have been no phone calls either. I'm looking at David, and it doesn't look like he has anybody online.
Okay, thank you so much. Then I'm going to hand this over to the city attorney, Mr. Johnson, and just for a final summary.
Okay. When Dave gets back, I want to confirm that there's nobody in virtual land that wants to say anything. Dave, is there anybody who wanted to testify tonight?
We have a telephone here with a number that was sent out. We have not got any calls on that yet. So okay. This is the time people were told to, if they're watching, if there's public testimony, they can ring a phone. I'll translate in Spanish to English if there's a bilingual question. Did we have any email? I'm looking at Debbie in the back, so no, so far no new civic questions.
All right, if you could alert us if that occurs so we make sure we get all the input, yeah. That would be appropriate. So just getting past appearance of interested citizens, at least for now. As you can see by the staff report, at the April 21 meeting, the committee voted to move forward on the 4 deferred items and not make any changes from the current charter. And so we filled in those blanks as it is in the charter and sent you the final version. And as I indicated in the staff report, the concept would be to move the version of the charter, the draft charter, as is in the packet for May 5, to recommend that to council if that's the desire of the committee. That is really the final action for the committee unless there's something else any of the committee members want to discuss or review again.
Okay.
I had a question, Shannon. When this is presented to the council, I think it was presented maybe in the minutes or in the newspaper the last time that that this committee is basically, leaving those 4 areas alone in what we're probably going to ask you to forward to the city council. But the section that is being removed is one thing, but it seems like we deserve credit for a lot of those other cleanup and organization and gender neutrality issues and organization. And
Right.
I guess I would like that to be reflected too, that we found that we cleaned up a lot of little things.
Oh, yeah,
Well,
certainly.
it's a big issue.
Certainly so, and I plan on summarizing all of the changes, even relatively minor ones, using the matrix. I mean, it will be almost overwhelming to go into a lot of detail. I don't know how many meetings we've had, at least 5 or 6, I think. And but I do plan on doing that, Pat, and laying out the various sections, using the matrix as a guide, and presenting a staff report to council that indicates the changes that we made and how we stuck, for the most part, with the LOC version, but I will lay all of that out.
No, because I think that's, in the interest of like whatever accessibility and other issues that several of us helped make it become easier to read, and so that, I think that's good for everybody.
And Councilor Smith mentioned that last night at the end of the council meeting, that the format, and it's much easier to read now, and all the work of the committee in getting us to this spot.
Okay. Excellent. And I wholeheartedly agree with you, Pat. I looked at the new one and I looked at the old one and I'm like, yeah, you guys did such a good job. And then that being said, I want to personally thank each and every one of you. You've been very patient with me, as I had no idea what I was doing when I came on board with this. And the work you did was phenomenal. I mean, from commas to verbiage, it was very impressive. And that I talked with Councilor Freeman earlier, and I just wanted to give each one of you an opportunity before we vote on this or move it forward to just, I want to make sure every councilor hears you. And so this is being recorded, and those that are watching can hear it, but I want every one of them to hear what you have to say regarding this, because this is historical. This is a huge thing, and the way it is now way more user-friendly for our community and allowing more people to understand it is phenomenal. And I can't thank you enough. You guys have really worked very hard, and I was just impressed every step of the way. So I'd like to just go through each one of you just to give you an opportunity to speak so that people can hear, A, how you feel about it, and then B, what you want the council to hear. And I just want to make sure that you're being heard all the way through with this, because it was a lot of work. And I've asked Councilor Freeman and myself, we're not going to say anything, and that's just because we're going to continue to talk about this at the council level. So if it's all right with you guys, I'd like to start with Shannon Flowers.
I just want to say thank you to everybody for the work that they put in. I think we did a really good job on making sure that the charter reflects how Keizer is as a community now, instead of having some of the things in it that were maybe not as reflective of how Keizer is as accepting as a community. That was one of my biggest concerns when I joined this committee, was that when I moved into Keizer, I didn't think that it was the kind of place that would have something like the way the charter ended that was in there. And I'm also pretty proud of the way that we went through and made sure that anything else that was kind of reflective of that was removed from. I'm glad that the charter is pretty gender neutral now, but it doesn't have the he or him kind of stuff in it. That looks much better to me. I think we did an excellent job of making it way more readable for people that don't have law degrees. It's much easier to get through and to understand. I have a law degree, and the old charter was a little bit complicated to get through. So I'm really proud of everybody's work. I just want to say thank you for listening to my point of views throughout this whole process. And it was a really good experience for me. And thank you to all of the public that came in and gave their opinion and helped us through this process as well. Thank you all so much.
Thank you so much, Shannon. You were very much appreciated, and I really appreciated your input and helping out with that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Kathy Lincoln.
I agree. I think this has been a good process, and I think I'm really sorry that we had to kind of go behind doors at the end so that we didn't get more input from the public or more outreach to the public. That was unfortunate. But I think it's a much better document than it was. I still think we could make our electing city councilors a little more democratic by doing the ranked style voting. But and I'm going to just bring that up at the city council when they review this. And I'm really happy about some of the changes that we made, making the document more welcoming. I'm hoping that maybe the city council, we talked about actually putting some language in the charter about discrimination and open to all genders and races and ethnicities. And if it doesn't work for the charter, I'm hoping that the city council can do a resolution along that line, just to make sure that everyone knows Keizer is now a much more welcoming community than maybe it appeared to be before. But yeah, thank you all. This has been a great opportunity, and nice to get to know some more folks in the city.
Thank you so much, Kathy. And I agree with you, and I look forward to hearing you at the council level as well with that input. It's unfortunate, again, at the end that we had to be kind of rushed to meet the deadlines and such, but I still think it's a valid conversation. And I look forward to seeing you at the council meetings to bring those points forward. And thank you for the information you've provided to us. It's very much appreciated. And then Mr. Whalen.
Thank you. Well, as someone who's, I guess, nearly twice the age of the city of Keizer itself, it was really exciting to see a number of newer, younger members of our community participating. That's always been an issue of getting the today and the tomorrow people engaged. And I think that really strengthened our group. And the discussions that were held were respectful of everybody's different positions. And I just think it was very beneficial to the community. And I'd like to thank all of the members of the committee for making it a successful venture. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for being the vice chair on this. Appreciate your knowledge and your history with the city. That was very critical for a lot of us, I think, to know exactly where things were coming from. So just want to particularly thank you for sharing that with us. And then Pat Fisher, you're up.
Okay. Yeah, well, I share that too. I'm glad that I got the chance to serve on this committee, and I'm happy that with the way that we all worked together, people that brought different strengths, different backgrounds, different perspectives to it, and I think it kind of worked well. It shows in the end product. I think that it worked, that we were able to work well together. Thank everybody for the patience with the numerous questions that I asked. And I do echo a couple of things that Kathy Lincoln just said also, and I don't know whether the city councilors and also Shannon, city attorney, whether you plan to mention the different points of discussion that we had about the election of the city councilors and the vacancy fillings, and that that we kind of missed the opportunity to bring those out, shop those out to the public in the way that we had hoped to. So so we're kind of leaving it to the city council process to examine those issues a little bit and see if the general public has a different opinion than the handful of people that have commented so far. And also we may have interest too as to how did we arrive where we did on the inclusivity statements, how it was that we decided not to put something specific in the charter, but to address it separately later. So I think that's an important thing to bring up to the council presentation as well. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, Pat. And I actually loved all your questions. You made me think way outside of the box. And I believe both Councilor Freeman and I agree that these are definitely conversations that should still be had at the council level. And, you know, we kind of got pigeonholed into a time frame on this. And with COVID, we definitely had to cut some of our community outreach shorter than I think any of us really wanted to. But I think that those are all valid points. And I'd like to continue to have those conversations with you as we proceed forward at the council level to make sure that that's being heard. So if you're good with that, we can stay in touch on that note as well. Thank you so much. Ms. Zaira, you are up.
Okay, let me unmute myself. So I agree with what everybody said as well. I think we did put a lot of work into it, and it doesn't necessarily isn't always captured. I think we looked at all the periods, the commas, and everything, and checked a lot of boxes that we hadn't really considered. I also think that it's a lot easier to read. It's more digestible, and I'm glad that I was able to share this document with some of the community groups that I volunteer with or that I've worked with in the past, and been able to share this information with the Spanish-speaking community. I think there's definitely a lot more outreach that could have been done, and I know the situation right now has been made that very difficult. But I do hope that we continue to have these conversations. I hope that we are able to continue to have the language access more available, and not just during this process, but in other meetings that I think are a lot, are very important for the community to be a part of as well. And I also would like for the city to revisit like the wards and the ranking system. I would hate to have these conversations 20 years down the line again. I think it would be worth for the city to look at maybe reopening the charter to look at these different things. I think there is a lot of value in putting more thought into them, because I like the maps that Michael put together for us. I think he put a lot of work in that, and it does show where representation has been, where all of the representation has been coming from within city council. So I'd really like to be able to explore that a little bit more. But for the purpose of this, I'm glad that we were able to remove clause 44, because that was really one of the main things that I wanted to see out of this. And I think we were all in agreement with that. And yeah, and I also hope that the city is able to put something out, because I don't think it should have taken 23 years for us to have removed that from the charter. And so I'm hoping city council is able to recognize that it did take a while for us to be able to remove that, and there needs to be some type of a apology or some type of a message to the community, letting them know like, hey, we're here and we're accepting of everybody.
Thank you so much, Zara. And I really want to thank you for your push on the getting the translation and everything out there. It actually has changed how we are doing things moving forward. And I've seen some really exciting things come from the city manager that you're going to start seeing roll out that I'm very pleased with. I think that our reach to the community is going to be much better than it has. So just personally want to thank you for that, and thank you for your input. Very much appreciate your time on this. And I will take your commentary back to the council as well.
Thank you.
And I can see, and Councilor Freeman is writing notes feverishly there, so I know she's with me on that. All right. And finally, Mr. Brody, would you like to speak, please?
Thank you. I'd like to thank everyone who was a part of the committee. It was an interesting opportunity. I would ask that the council remember the purpose of revisiting the charter was to remove the illegal language. It wasn't a question of whether it was right or wrong. It was illegal. And that was the reason why it needed to be removed. It was unenforceable. And so that was removed, and let's not get lost in the details. The committee has voted on all of these points. The committee has spoken. The council has the right to amend and to propose, but these decisions have already been made at this committee level. There's no reason to revisit them, whether it be wards or how we elect city officials. Let's move this on and let's get this passed for the purpose of why it was there. And regarding inclusivity language, we left it out of the charter for a reason. It will always exclude somebody. There is no way to have a statement that includes everyone. The absence of an inclusivity statement does not make us racist, biased in any way. It just means that we've acted not to make a statement on it because we don't want to offend anyone. And so I'd ask that the city consider that as well as they move forward in this.
Thank you so much. Appreciate all your time, Brody, and your very direct answers. And I appreciate it. It's very analytical, and you've kept us on task with several of these items. So thank you for that. That being said, is there any further discussion before we look for a motion to be put? Shannon, is there anything I'm missing that I need to be doing here?
No, I don't believe so, Madam Chair. I think unless there's further questions or discussion, it'll be time for the motion to recommend the May 5th draft to Council.
Okay, so I'm looking for someone to motion that we move this.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
can I just say something before we get there? I know I said I wasn't going to talk, but I just
That's okay.
throw my
Go ahead.
phone across the room. Really, it's just brief. I echo everyone's comments, and I appreciate you guys for always being very direct and speaking your mind. And that's what we want from all committee members and all citizens of Keizer, because this is your city, not just the people that serve on city council. Your work is impeccable, and thank you first for stepping forward and wanting to be part of this process and continuing. And I would hope that you will come and give additional public testimony if you feel that it is relevant. You are always welcome, and I hope that you continue to volunteer within the city. And there are some open positions on council. So I would hope that you would consider either in this next election time or times in the future to consider to run and represent the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Freeman. I agree with you wholeheartedly. And again, all of you, thank you. I'm going to miss seeing your faces. This is kind of sad that we're ending it, but thank you so much for all your work. And just let's go ahead and move forward and look for a motion to submit this to the council.
Chairman Smith, I'll make a motion.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Mr. Peck. Okay, so motion has been moved and seconded to move the current draft of the Keizer City Charter onto the City Council. All those in favor say aye. I'll give you 3 seconds to unmute yourselves.
Aye.
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 All of those opposed. Okay, motion passes unanimously. Mr. Johnson, are we done?
I believe so. I really would like to thank the committee. As I had indicated in the staff report, I felt that it could be a short meeting. Most of your work, it's a little anticlimactic tonight, but most of your work is spent over the last several months and with the April 21 meeting. So appreciate all your work on this.
And thank you, Mr. Attorney, because you did an amazing job, and the matrix and how you set that out for us was extremely helpful. You knocked it out of the park on this one, so thank you for answering all the questions and getting us through it in a fairly quick manner, because you didn't think it could be done. So
well, no, I didn't, and I'd like to thank especially Tammy and Debbie too for a lot of the work they did, and I'm glad that Shannon Flowers mentioned the gender neutral part. Tammy worked hard on that. It's harder than you think to sections, you know. And so, and then that was the least of what Tammy did on this, and then Debbie keeping us all on track. So appreciate the help of both of them.
excellent. Well done, city staff members. Appreciate it. Well done, council or committee members. And I thank you for your service in this. And hopefully I continue to hear from you. And I hope that as this moves to the council, we will continue to hear from you as well. So thanks again for all your work. Other than that, we good?
Good?
No,
Oh, Kim. I was like, somebody said something.
Yeah, so I just, not to put Shannon on the spot, so I apologize, but do you have next steps? Like, do you know when this will be on the council agenda? I just want to, I know the committee will continue to watch, but if we have some dates, like, will this be coming to us in June? Because I know we want to do a couple public hearings for this, so.
I'm going to present the council with the proposed process with regard to public input and work sessions, and that it'll be coming to for a substantive look by council at the first meeting in June is my proposal. I may also bring up the process issue at the very next meeting, which would be May 18. I have to work through some, double check some things on the charter and the process before I settle all that, so I don't want to kind of put anything in stone tonight.
Sounds good. Okay, other than that, do we have any further business, or Shannon, do we adjourn and we're done?
I think we're done.
All right, thank you all so much. I will then officially adjourn our final meeting of the Charter Review Committee. Again, well done. Thank you all so much, and I will make sure that you are all mentioned at the next council meeting about the work that you did. You guys rocked it. Thank you again. Have a good night.